County is, oh gosh, something like 300,000 acres. These pretty good numbers.
And which county was it?
Thomas County. Georgia. You got it. All right, for the second one. All right, want to do the second one? All right. All right.
Yeah. Oh,
What is the axe and pickaxe combination fire tool called? There you go. Thank you, sir.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you guys have enjoyed dinner. Please continue eating. If you haven't gotten enough, we have shifted everything from the left bar over to the right bar. And if not, I am going to go ahead and get started.
And if not, see the wet bar.
That's right. That's right. All right. So, guys, we are the Southwest Georgia Prescribed Burn Association. As I stated when we started the evening, my name is Julie Shutters, and I am the Implementation Manager for Golden Triangle. And I'm going to talk to you guys about how the PBA came about. This PBA came about because of a dynamic partnership between Golden Triangle and Tall Timbers. And we are working together to ensure that landowners have the capability to put fire safely on the landscape. The PBA mission and vision is just that. It is to ensure that fire is safely put on the ground and that the landowners have everything that they need, the resources, everything. And it is so terribly important for not only Golden Triangle, but for Tall Timbers, that is the shared mission about getting landowner fire on the ground here. And so we're going to go through the summary of what the Prescribed Burn Association for Southwest Georgia is going to comprise. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that was formally created in May of this year. How we are funded. We are a non-funded organization, which means that we have to go after grants, donations, and sponsorships to ensure that we are able to have everything that we need as an organization to move forward. The time frame for the association is on a rolling calendar year from January to December. How we are run by an elected board of officials, and that board is made up of a president, a vice president, a treasurer, and a secretary. There are 3 types of memberships that we will have. We will have a regular membership, an honorary membership, and a guest membership. For the regular members that are in good standing with the association, you will receive 1 vote for whatever is brought upon the board. There will be 4 meetings that will occur, that it will be done through the entire calendar year of that January to December. And then the meetings will be done so that they are hosted for landowner updates, resource updates, field day events, and networking opportunities. The association fee will be a $100 fee if you would like to join the association. That fee will be due December the 15th of the prior year for benefits beginning in January of the new year. And then organizational support. You will have organizational support from the 2 organizations that created this. George Jensen, over here to my left, will be from Tall Timbers. Matt Bradley, if you stand up, honey, that's Matt Bradley. He is from the Golden Triangle office, and they are your support people for any and everything that you need as a landowner about prescribed fire. So I'm going to turn the rest of this evening over to my partner in crime over here, Mr. George Jensen. So thank you all so very much for being with us tonight. George?
Let's do another one for fries. You know, at first I was looking at this hat and I was like, Bob White Quill Initiative. That's pretty cool. That'd be good. The dashboard of somebody's truck. So for this one. Mark, you got a good question? I feel like you got
No, I just, you're back to acreage if you wanna do acreage.
Yes.
So I think most people would be surprised if you knew how many acres, Daugherty, in every county that touches is 7 counties, what the 5-year average is. Some people guess.
Yes. Dougherty County and the 5 counties that surround it? Yeah.
Average of how many acres burned?
Yeah.
Got 200,000?
Yeah, I was gonna say 200,000.
200.
325.
We'll get close.
201.
201?
It's 160,000, and that's why that monitor in Albany is, that of all the PM monitors in the state, the Albany monitor is, the most at risk. It's not take.
Point of pride, we keep that up.
What's that?
Point of pride, we keep that up.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it tonight after the IBT interagency burn crew meeting for Georgia was yesterday, and there's some interesting findings with that we'll talk about in my presentation. But welcome. This is kind of the overview of the night. We're on a discussion of the burn plan template. So again, the counties that we service with the Prescribed Burning Association. If you are in one of these counties and you need help burning, we are hopefully the people that you turn to do that, as long as you're part of the association. If you know people in these counties that want to burn, need help burning, let us know. So, as Mark really alluded to, that's great. Thank you for that segue. This is VR Smoke. Sorry, I said that wrong. But this is a smoke mapping tool that the Georgia Forestry Commission uses to map smoke on all burn plans that are done that they approve. So it looks like a nuclear plume cloud a little bit, but what this is showing is yellow is transport winds at 9 miles an hour. Orange, if you can see it, is 6. Red is 5, and then it goes down into 0. And why that Albany station is at such risk lately is because it's been really, really hot and people have been pushing their burns a little later. And for ecological goals, that is great. But unfortunately, that has put that station at really, really high risk of getting over the allowable daily limit repeatedly of particle matters in the atmosphere. And that's a lot of science and hoodattery to say, if that keeps happening, the EPA will pull certain months where we can't get permits anymore. And so how we prevent that is not putting smoke over Albany and burning on days where we have higher than 9-mile-per-hour transport winds. What the PBA can do is, this looks confusing to you, we can help you figure it out a little bit. As the PBA, myself, as Tall Timbers, have a lot of connections in Georgia Forestry Commission, and they have gracefully step forward to help us if needed on burn plans. And so this is sort of kind of that picture zoomed out. So you can really see that 9-mile-per-hour transport wind is dragging that smoke a long way away. It's getting out of the area. Anything in that circular pit of doom right there is going to stay overnight, potentially get not just 1 day over the allowable limit, but 2. And that's a really big deal for this area. Because we burn so much, we need to make sure that we can continue that into the future. And the PBA is here to help you guys, if you need it, kind of figure out how to do that most effectively. Between myself, the entirety of Tall Timbers burn staff, and the members of this PBA, we can come up with solutions. And this is just sort of showing that in a different way. That's the 24-hour averages. And you can see Albany in red is right on that line. So that's great, we're right on that line. The EPA is actually looking at dropping this down to 30. And if that happens, we have a couple counties in Georgia, or a couple stations in Georgia that are going to be above the allowable limit. And they're going to be the same restrictions as Atlanta before we know it. So we really have to be careful on when we're burning. And we are happy to help you guys figure that out. And then this, again, is just showing the same thing. But this is highest annual averages, which again is 12 and 10. The think about taking it from 12 and dropping it to 10. So then, again, Albany would be at risk. So how we combat that is we have very well-defined burn plans. And so Tall Timbers itself and our geospatial lab are happy to work with you guys on prioritizing when to burn. And from the meeting yesterday, the interagency burn team meeting, Ken said it best, where really it's about getting really good burn plans with really definitive transport wind directions established, and then taking available burn days when we can get them to make sure that we're burning as many acres as we can, but also controlling for that Albany weather station, or just not putting a lot of smoke over Albany. It's a good bet too. So what does this all kind of look like? How do we get fire besides just writing your guys' burn plans onto your property? What's the service that the PBA provides? So essentially, there's 3 main channels that we can provide service to you in the PBA. The first one is, if you're new to burning, we want to get you set up with not only learn to burns, that's L2 burn is generally stated as learn to burns, but learn how to burn, and going out and seeing not just the application of fire actively, but what happens with fire application through time. So extension, field trips, where we can show you guys what fire looks like in different seasons, what fire looks like on different properties and different ecosystems. It's all longleaf, but there's a lot of different soil types that change what comes up after a fire, before a fire. So getting the Prescribed Burn Association out on these field trips and learn to burn events is huge, and it's really going to be a tool that every single one of us, including myself, can use to expand their knowledge base on fire in Southwest Georgia. And Southwest Georgia is just the best at fire. So, right, Mark? So kind of our first step is, if you're new to burn and you want to learn, we'll kind of get you through these classes. And myself, Tall Timbers, and other entities have stepped forward to teach and instruct as much as possible, because we can all learn how to burn better. Now, if you're new to burning, but you want a PBA facilitated burn, that looks like myself or Matt going to your properties and mapping a little bit. We can use drones, we can not use drones, we can do as much technology or as basic as you want your maps on your property. If you don't have an established burn plan, we can make you a burn plan and a map that's going to get you really set up to conduct burns. And then we can either facilitate a contractor, such as Randy here, who burns in the area, or others, or we can do a PBA in-house burn and then conduct post-fire evaluation. So the PBA can be myself, Matt, and others can be involved in a lot of steps in this process. But at the end, really we're just facilitating you on your own property, conducting burns how you want them, somewhat how you want them to be conducted and when. The next way is, if you're an experienced burner and you want to be part of the PBA, you may already have a burn plan done, you may already have maps done, but we're happy to make you maps. We got GIS, we got ArcMap Pro, we're happy to make you burn maps, no problem at all. If you're a member of the PBA and you want a burn map of your property, happy to do it. You want an ortho photo created of your property that's in real time, happy to do it. I can do that. Just let us know what you want, and we're happy to do it. We do some free site visits. We can look at different fire effects, when to burn. We can consult you. I'm happy to consult. I have a master's in fire ecology. I really like burning in this area, so really happy to help. Oops, consult. We can do, and then we can get members. So we can work with the local colleges and the PBA itself to get members out there helping you burn. Now, in turn, those people are also getting the experience that they want to burn their own properties. So likely the landowner will pull a permit and they'll have staff to help burn. Little modules of 6 people helping you burn. That's huge. It's really hard to get help these days, as you all know. And so having an organization that has people, and has the resources, and has somebody making those phone calls for you is, a really good service that we can provide you with a PBA. Because how many of you guys want to call like 20 people to get people out there to burn? Probably nobody. Well, maybe you do. I mean, you'd be really social like me, but generally speaking, we're happy to come out and help. And then we also, as Tall Timbers, have a private lands burn team. We have our own burn boss. We have our own resources, our own trucks, our own UTVs, four-wheelers, and stuff. We're happy to help facilitate reintroductory fire and risk assessment, first-time inputs of fire on property. Happy to come help do it and facilitate that. We have some funding for that. That's kind of where that prioritization is going to come in, but we're happy to work with you as much as we can. And that program is likely going to be expanded into the future. So not only do we have us, we have the private lands burn team from Dell Timbers, and we have just a plethora of really, really qualified, skilled individuals that would love to do more fire in Southwest Georgia. I just talked to the Prescribed Burning Training Center, the National Prescribed Burning Training Center that's hosted at Dell Timbers yesterday, and they were gung-ho about getting out on more properties. So those guys really got their stuff figured out. Finally, we can come and do post-fire evaluation and see how your burns went on your properties. So we can then, once the burns happen, we can come back and say, this could be better next time, or this went really, really well, or this is what you should plan. And it's just a really good service to have, and sometimes it takes some trained eye that I'm sure a lot of you in this PBA that burn a lot know, some people don't. It's kind of cool service. That is essentially the breakdown of how the PBA can potentially work for you, the landowner. Any questions? Cool. Does that sound good? Sound kind of cool? I think so. I'm all jazzed up about it. That's really all I had for you guys now. We're going to move to elections, and do you want to talk about that? Or? Thank you, guys. You want to do another giveaway? All right. For Yeti Mug, how many channels are there that I just talked about for 15 minutes? How many ways can we go about you guys learning? Was that it? All right.
You're the winner of the night. How's that?
You want to give it to her?
I'll get it.
Oh, yeah.
It was a draw, so. Oh, yes way.
So guys, earlier in the evening, I was explaining the funding and how the PBA will be funded, and so I would like to, on behalf of the PBA, acknowledge Pine Belt Forestry and Golden Triangle for the donations that it has made into. So thank you guys very much for that. We do appreciate it on behalf of the PBA. So we are now at the course of the evening where we need to talk about the election of officers. So I would like to open up the floor, and I would like to see if any of you have any interest at all in taking any of the executive leadership positions of the board. And there are several of you that I would love to see in these positions because you guys are dynamic, you are landowners, and you have the stewardship that this PBA is looking for. So, I'll open the floor up. Is there anyone interested in taking any of the executive positions within the Prescribed Burn Association?
Anybody for president? Good position.
You will have lots of support.
I mean, is this gonna be decided yet?
We would like to elect officers tonight if we can. Absolutely.
That's what I got the good candidate.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if a lot of people even really know each other that much. You know, as far as, I don't know, but maybe,
Would you like to describe some of the responsibilities and the time frame, of, like I said, the president, maybe the vice president?
I sure can. In your folders, we have provided you guys with a couple of different things. You have the entire bylaws that are in your packet. You have the members some other articles of paperwork that talk about burn trailers. And that's the one thing that George and I have not spoken about this evening. And that is the fact that on top of all of the resources that the PBA has, there's also 2 fully equipped burn trailers that are available for the PBA use. Okay, so let's talk about the president. Okay. The president will supervise and control all of the association's businesses and affairs, will preside at all of the meetings, and be the head member of the board. The president will execute any deeds, mortgages, bonds, contracts, or other instruction that the board authorizes to be executed. The serving time for the board is exactly the same way that the time frame of the calendar year is. So all of the officers would serve from January to December, and then if they want to stay on the board, they will be elected to stay on that board through the membership. So the president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer would all be for 1 year. The office of the vice president shall perform any of the duties prescribed by the board, will serve alongside the vice president. In absence of the president, the vice president is able to carry some of those bigger decision-making items. The treasurer will have charge and custody and responsibility for all of the funds that are intaken. And as I stated, because we are not funded, everything is then done by writing grants, by accepting donations, making fundraisers, and so the treasurer will keep up with all of that. The secretary will take all of the meeting notes, will ensure all of the communications between the PDA and you guys as the landowners is done. They will notify you within 2 weeks of having a meeting, because we have a certain time frame that all of those notifications have to go out. Again, the secretary will take all of the notes that we have during the meetings, and then all of the paperwork, all of the bylaws, any amendments that are made, anything paperwork-wise will be done with the secretary position.
So in other PBAs, the president is pretty much the go-between between myself, Adam, and the landowners themselves. So right now, we have members of Golden Triangle being the executive staff. And while that's all well and dandy, that doesn't really give landowners a say in how things are getting managed. And so really, the president ideally would be somebody that's all right with being the main go-between between myself and Golden Triangle and the members of the PBA. Vice president is essentially filling in his role where needed, and then secretary is taking notes, and treasurer, we have our own grants that we're working on for this PBA right now. I mean, they're already in, but the treasurer is just going to be the public entity, presumably a landowner that's just kind of in the know about what are goings on, and if they want to apply for their own grants. So really, we want the landowners to do this because we can't drive this ship by ourselves. We're happy to help where needed, but we really, really want you guys to have input in this. And so if we don't have a landowner / NGO board, we really, really can't have that input.
And this is not about us.
Yes.
This is about you guys as landowners and us making sure that you have the resources you need to manage your land the way that you want to and need to. Are there any other questions? And Randy, thank you so much for asking about that and letting us clarify that a little further. Appreciate it. No problem. Did that answer your question about the roles and responsibilities of the officers?
Oh, I think so. I think it's probably helped everybody just understand it a little better, and maybe understand their role. Cause yeah, I was flipping through here and I found it, given the description, but thanks a lot.
You're very welcome. Are there any other questions? And so, what we are doing is we are videoing this whole session so that they have the opportunity to hear, see. We will put this out on Monday, and it will be on the Golden Triangle website for 1 week to have any kind of input back from the people that were not able to be with us tonight.
So how about, if we can't get president, how about vice president? Is there anyone interested in vice president? There you go.
How many landowners and, other than professional, government or non-government organizations, but we're the landowners, who are the people we have to, who people choose from for these positions?
Well, if you're a landowner, or preferably a landowner, but an NGO that has interests and stake in Southwest Georgia, you'd be a great fit. So if you're a landowner, can you raise your hand? Nice, thank you. And it's okay, guys. Like, if you don't want to run it, we want people that want to be a part of it. So ideally, people here tonight, but if not, we do have other folk. But really, if you have interest tonight, it would be great to get some names on paper.
Or even if you would like to put your name on paper and think about it, and then get back to us. We just want to ensure that everyone has the opportunity, and if you would like to be on the executive board, we would love to have you, because we truly want this PBA to be run by the residents. Alright, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And like I said, the video of this evening will be up on the Golden Triangle website. We will leave it open for 1 week for any comments, questions, or concerns. We truly would love to have one or all of you sit on the board, so please think about it. If you have questions about anything regarding the executive board, by all means, please reach out to George, myself, Matt. We will be more than happy to answer questions for you. But in the interim, Golden Triangle is sitting as the executive board for the PBA at the moment. And so we have a president. I'm sorry?
How many board members are there total?
The board needs to have at least 3. It can have a total of 5. Because there has to be enough board members to have a quorum, which is why there can only be low as 3 because of the quorum.
And they'd have to be like officers in some kind of way, or they could just be somebody sitting there on the board?
I'm sorry, can you?
I mean, do they have to be a president, vice president, secretary, et cetera, or can they just be somebody that would like to sit on the board? I guess
I'm sorry.
If you sit on the board, yeah, you have to have an
you have to have a position.
Yes.
Yeah, not to vote. Any regular member can vote, but just to be on the board, you have to have an executive.
Yes, the executive position is for the boards only. Any of the active members of the association will get 1 vote. That's
And since this is a new PBA in this area, it's worked other places really well. It's, there will be some flexibility with the positions, and we really want you guys and landowners to be people that care about this area, be on this board, because they're gonna have a lot of resources behind them, and they're gonna have a lot of opportunity to grow and develop Southwest Georgia wildfires.
because that is one of the goals that we have, is we really truly want to see the southwest of Georgia become the premier prescribed fire. We really do. Even more so than what we already are. Before I let you go for tonight, I would like to invite you guys out to some additional things that we are going to be hosting coming up. There is a feral swine workshop that we will be hosting at Seminole State Park on August the 16th. There will be a habitat field day in September that we will be hosting at Burnsong Nature Center. And then there will be a prescribed learn and burn that we will be hosting in October. We All of this information will be out on the PBA website. And then as we get closer to those dates, flyers and information will go out. And if you have availability, we would absolutely love for you to join us at any and all of these events. And then again, if you have questions, comments, concerns, by all means, our information is in your packet. Please reach out to us. We will be more than happy to answer all of your questions. So ladies and gentlemen, I have nothing further for tonight. So on behalf of George Jensen and Matt Bradley, we thank you all so very much to attending our very first public PBA meeting. So, thank you.
We are available to do landowner visits, to come out. We're available to get set up for the next year. We already have a couple in mind, but we're really happy to come out to your properties and help you all out where needed.
Please drive safe.